What I'm about to tell you is something I've seen reported so many times in newspapers and on television, but I never imagined I would experience it myself so closely. I discovered, in the worst possible way, that it's far more common than we think. I thought I was losing my mind. At 67 years old, I started forgetting simple things: where I'd left my keys, whether I'd already taken my medicine, the name of the neighbor who's lived next door for 10 years. At first, I laughed it off. I told myself it was just age catching up, that it was normal. But then things got strange, very strange. I've lived alone since my husband passed away 8 years ago. My daughter Emily lives a bit farther away, with her husband and my 2 grandchildren. She's always been caring, calling me every week without fail, but over the past 10 months her visits have become more frequent. She said she was worried about me. I appreciated it, of course. What mother wouldn't be happy to get attention from her daughter? But something in her eyes unsettled me, a sense of urgency I couldn't quite understand. It all started when I began finding little notes stuck to my fridge, written in my own handwriting. Don't forget to lock the door. Your medicine is in the cabinet. Emily is coming tomorrow. I didn't remember writing any of them. My memory seemed to be betraying me in a cruel way, erasing entire pieces of my days. I'd wake up in the morning to find the kitchen spotless, but couldn't recall washing the dishes. There were folded clothes in my closet that I swore I hadn't touched. I went to see a doctor. Dr. Jackson, a kind man I've known for decades, ordered several tests: an MRI, cognitive assessments, blood work. When I returned for the results, he gave me that look doctors have when the news isn't good. But what he said surprised me. Everything was normal. My brain was healthy for my age. There were no signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, nothing that could explain my memory lapses. I should have felt relieved. But I didn't. Because if my brain was fine, then why was I still forgetting? Why did I keep waking up with the feeling that hours of my life had simply vanished? I started writing everything down. I bought a small hardcover notebook and began recording every detail of my days: when I woke up, what I ate, who I saw, what I did. Writing became my anchor, my way of proving to myself that I was still here, that I was still me. Then I noticed something disturbing. Some of the pages in my notebook were missing, torn out carefully, as if someone wanted to make sure I wouldn't notice. I started getting frightened when I realized the pages were gone. Who would come into my house to do that? That night, I locked every door and window, but fear kept me awake. I lay there in the dark, listening to every sound, every creak of the old wood. Was I truly going insane? Had I torn out those pages myself and just forgotten? The next day, Emily showed up unannounced. She let herself in with her spare key, carrying groceries and that worried smile that had become all too familiar. She asked how I was doing, if I'd taken my medicine, if I was eating well. I said yes, watching her every move. That's when I saw her glance at my notebook, lying on the living room table. Her eyes lingered on it just a second longer than they should have. I decided to run a test. I told her about the memory lapses, about the notes I'd been finding, about the missing pages. I waited for her reaction. Emily held my hand gently and said that this confirmed her suspicions. I needed help, and maybe it was time to consider a nursing home, a place where qualified people could take care of me. Her tone was convincing, but there was urgency in her words, a rush. Something inside me refused to accept it. I told her no, that all my tests came back normal, that Dr. Jackson hadn't found anything wrong. I saw a shadow cross my daughter's face. For a split second, the mask of concern fell, and I saw something different. Frustration? Anger? She quickly pulled herself together and said maybe we should seek a second opinion, that she knew a very good specialist in the capital. After Emily left, I did something I never imagined I would do. When it was nearly morning, I set up my old cell phone to record. I hid it on the living room shelf, aimed at the front door and the hallway. If someone was entering my house, I would find out who it was. I also hid my notebook somewhere new, inside a sewing box that no one else ever touched but me. The first few days showed nothing, just me getting up to go to the bathroom, the house silent and empty. But on the fourth night, the video captured something that terrified me. At 3 a.m, the front door opened, and the person who entered wasn't a stranger. It was Emily. I watched that video 10 times before I could accept what I was seeing. My daughter, silently entering my home in the middle of the night. She knew every creaky floorboard, every corner that could give her away. She moved slowly through the living room, searching for something. My notebook. When she didn't find it in its usual spot, I saw the frustration on her face. She opened drawers, looked under furniture, all in complete silence. Then she went to the small table in the middle of the room and picked up my bottle of blood pressure pills. With careful movements, she took out a few tablets and replaced them with others that looked identical. She put the original pills in her purse and placed the bottle back exactly where it had been. Those weren't my medications. What was she giving me? How long had this been happening? That could explain my memory lapses. It wasn't my mind failing me. It was my own daughter causing it. But why? That question tormented me for days. I had to find out what she wanted in exchange for driving me insane on purpose. I pretended everything was normal when Emily came back. I accepted her help, took the fake pills in front of her, and spat them out in the bathroom as soon as I was alone. My mind, freed from that chemical fog, began to clear. And I started to remember. I remembered the phone calls Emily had made right in front of me, thinking I wasn't paying attention. She was always talking about properties. My late husband had been a hard-working man. He left me this house and a few pieces of land in the countryside. It wasn't a fortune, but it was valuable. Everything was in my name, with the promise that it would pass to Emily after I was gone. But she didn't want to wait. During one of her visits, I waited for her to go to the bathroom, and in that moment, I found some documents hidden inside her purse. Papers from a private, expensive nursing home where people with advanced dementia were institutionalized. There were power of attorney forms, property transfer documents, all prepared, just waiting for my signature, or for my legal incapacity to be declared. If the doctors considered me incapable of taking care of myself, Emily would have total control over my life and my assets. The plan was perfect in its cruelty. To drug me until I truly appeared demented, have me institutionalized, and take control of everything. Maybe she even believed she was doing the right thing, that a nursing home would be better for me. But what I saw in that video wasn't love. It was premeditation. I had 2 choices. I could confront her, destroy our relationship, and maybe never see my grandchildren again. Or I could be smarter. I chose the second option, but not in the way you might think. I started pretending the pills were still working. I acted confused when Emily was around, forgot names, repeated questions. She seemed satisfied, believing her plan was moving forward. But when I was alone, I was someone else, clear-minded and aware. I secretly sought out a lawyer, a man recommended by my neighbor. I told him everything, showed him the recordings and the fake medication. He was appalled by the situation and by how common such cases have become these days. We had the pills analyzed. They were strong sedatives that, when taken regularly, caused exactly the symptoms I'd been showing: confusion, short-term memory loss, disorientation. Nothing that would cause permanent harm, but enough to make me appear incompetent. The lawyer helped me reorganize my documents, protect my assets, and set up legal safeguards to prevent anyone from declaring me incapacitated without multiple independent evaluations. Then I did something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I confronted my daughter. I showed her the video, the analyzed pills, and the documents she had hidden. I saw my own reflection in her face as denial turned to shock, then despair, and finally shame. Emily broke down in tears, completely panicked. She said she was desperate, that she and her husband had enormous debts because of the apartment they'd bought, that they couldn't keep up with the payments, that everything was overdue, and that she was terrified of losing everything. Between sobs, she confessed that she thought my supposed dementia would progress quickly, that I wouldn't even notice, and that maybe it would even be better for me to live under the care of a clinic. The excuses spilled out one after another, each more pitiful than the last. I just listened, heartbroken. I didn't report her to the police. She's my daughter, and as much as she betrayed me, I couldn't bring myself to completely destroy her life. But I didn't pretend nothing had happened either. I changed my deed, leaving the property directly to my grandchildren, with clauses ensuring they can only access it once they turn 25. Emily will get nothing until I pass naturally. And I amended my will to include a letter explaining everything, so my grandchildren will know the truth when the time comes. I still live alone today, but it's different now. Emily no longer has a key to my house. She visits, but on my terms, always with a scheduled time. Our relationship will never be the same, and I carry that pain like a wound that never fully heals. There are days when I look at the phone and wish I could call her, hear her voice without the weight of mistrust. There are nights when I cry for the daughter I thought I had, for the bond we lost. But I learned something valuable from this terrible ordeal. I learned that my greatest strength isn't in my memory, it's in my awareness of who I am. I learned that clarity isn't just remembering the past, but recognizing the present for what it is, even when the truth hurts. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean allowing them to destroy you. My memory is intact now. And when I look in the mirror, I recognize the woman staring back at me, a survivor, a woman who almost lost herself, but found the strength to fight back, even when the enemy was her own daughter. The question that haunts me now isn't whether I'm losing my memory. It's whether I'll ever be able to forget what my own daughter was capable of doing. And honestly, I'm not sure I want the answer.